Howdy everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making a keepsake for Mother's Day. This is going to be a little floral arrangement. We're going to be working with a clear glass vase. So let me show you what the supplies are going to be. So let's get to crafting. Okay, so we're going to be working with some clear vases. So just pick out whatever vases you find attractive or the right size that you want to work with. These I found at the Dollar Tree. Just to give you an example, that you can just use anything that's inexpensive. Maybe you have something already lying around at home, so you can use that. Okay, because we are going to be creating a floral arrangement. We're going to be needing some flowers, so any flowers that you want to use. These, for example, on this side are from the Dollar Tree, so they have some pretty choices there for you, or you can go to a higher end. This is from Hobby Lobby, for example, and choose a higher end flower, whatever you want to use. Maybe you have some leftovers, you can do like a mixture of different little flowers. Maybe some greenery would also help. Something with some small leaves. I've got this one and this particular leaf here. I got both at Hobby Lobby. This one was on sale, this one was actually on clearance. So this is what I've taken. I'm just going to use a few bits from here. I chose it because it has a lot to grab. Actually, there's two of them here, by the way. There's a lot to grab from here. So make sure you, when you're picking out greenery, that it has lots of little bits that you can cut from, and it will go a long way. So those are my choices of greenery. Now, to create a, okay, let me tell you also, you need some styrofoam. And here I've got a 2-pack of 2 discs. You can use any scrap piece of styrofoam that you can cut to fit the top opening or the mouth of your vase, okay? So just any scrap pieces, or if you want to go and purchase some. This is a 2-pack that I got from the Dollar Tree, so it was only $1 for 2 pieces. So that was a great deal. Okay, and I'm going to be using a little bit of moss for one of them. This is completely optional. This all depends on what you want to put inside of your jars, what your keepsakes or your mementos are going to be. Okay, so I've got a little bit of that. At the Dollar Tree, I found some little fairy supplies, little fairy garden supplies. So I got this little gazebo from there. I feel like I want to paint it, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it that color just to save myself some time. And then they had these little cute little fairy garden little signs, and I felt like they were kind of, you know, a good size for that. They also had a little assortment of fairies. They had some bigger ones, but these smaller ones to me seemed like they were right about the size for this little gazebo. So I got a little 3-pack. I'm only going to use one from each of these packages, so obviously this is going to go a long way. Okay, so for another one I thought I'd use like a little frame, and I also got this from the Dollar Tree. You can use any frame from wherever you want or make your own little frame, and I just wanted to make sure this frame fit into either one of my jars. So that's all I had to do, was just make sure that it fit. And you either want a picture or something that you can put in your little frame. I went ahead and I printed out a little something to put on in my frame. And I chose for it to say Happy Mother's Day in Spanish. So it says Feliz Dia de las Madres. So I just created that and I printed that out. But I'm thinking now that I'm going to reprint it because I would like for the frame to stand like this in my vase. Because I do remember that when I purchased my frame, I made sure that the frame fit like this. Not like that. So it's not going to fit like that. So I need to reprint this with the letters going the other way. So just make sure that you do something like that if you're going to print out anything of your own, that it's going to fit the way that the frame will go into your vase. Okay, that was a long description of just something that is obvious. Okay, so I'm going to use a couple of scraps of ribbon as well. So if you have any pieces of scrap that will go around the perimeter, the outside of the mouth of your vase, you can use that. If you don't have any ribbon, don't worry. You can either cover it with some of the moss, if you happen to have any moss or Spanish moss, or if you happen to have, or just your greenery, when you put it on there, we can hide it with that. But I'm going to go ahead and use some little scraps of ribbon. Also, to create my arrangement, I'm going to be using, oh, and I also have some extra ribbon here in case I decide that I want to make a bow. And I got one each of these to kind of coordinate with the different flowers that I used. Some of them are pink, so I decided to use this ribbon. I thought that would coordinate if I do decide to use it. This one has a salmon-y kind of a peachy color, so I grabbed this ribbon to go with that in case I do choose to use ribbon for that. Oh, and by the way, I did also these scraps. I also made sure that the scraps somehow also coordinated with the flowers. So I picked that ivory for that and the pink one for this one, okay? Because it might show a little bit, so you want to make sure. Or you could just use, you know, a neutral color of ribbon. Maybe white, you know, if you have white in your little arrangement, then white will be perfect. Okay, we're also going to need some floral ribbon or chenille stems in case you are going to make little bows so that you can tie them up. Now, I've made these clear vases before. I made an arrangement and I showed you how you can make arrangements in this so that you can hide the stems in there. One of the things that I pointed out was when you were sticking flowers into your styrofoam is that you didn't push them all the way through, because they would either, those stems would show through when you look at it from the side, or, you know, you could see the stems poking through the styrofoam. So you wanted to be careful about that. But also, not only that, but if you push the styrofoam all the way through, the little bits of styrofoam will fall into your vase and you have little bits in there. You don't want that. So in order to stop that, I was thinking that we could either use a piece of poster board, or we could use foam board or cardboard. Anything that you can trace. Once you've cut your styrofoam to fit the opening of your vase, then we want to use that same size to cut, you know, either circle or whether it's a rectangle, depending on your shape and size of your opening on your vase. So we're going to need some of that. Like I said, some poster board, cardboard, or a foam board, whatever little scraps you may have laying around. Okay, so those are going to be our little supplies, or at least those supplies that I'm going to use. Like I said, you'll pick your little keepsakes or little items you want to put in there. I'm going to give you an idea right now what you could use. You could either have, if you're going to help a child do this for their mom, like whether it's your grandchild or your niece or nephew, you want to do this for your sister or sister-in-law or grandma, you could have, or even if you want to help your own children do something for you, you could have them make a little craft, something that'll fit inside the vase, whether they want to paint a little rock or write something on it. Maybe they want to write something on a little piece of paper and you put it in a tiny little frame like that. Or you could have them put some paint on their little hands, have them make a little handprint, and then use the scissors to cut around, you know, the little handprint, and then that same handprint could be curved and slid into the frame. Because you know how sometimes the kids do their little handprints and then we don't know what to do with them. We stick them in the fridge and stuff. But wouldn't that be cute if it was inside of a little vase? Or even something small like this one, a little handprint kind of laying in there, and maybe just write something on it or put a little message or something else in there, you know, from the child. Okay, so that's just an idea. Okay, so also we're going to need some tools for this, and I've got my craft knife because I'm going to use that to cut my styrofoam. I've got a pencil to trace anything on this poster board. I got my scissors, wire cutters, my glue gun, and some glue sticks. So those are the tools I'm going to be using. Alright, so let's get to crafting. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we want to prepare all our supplies by opening up our packages. And I've cut up my flowers from the bushes and made them single stems rather than they be all attached. And what I've done is I've just cut them at the very longest point, because I don't know what length I need these. I may not use them all, so I don't want to cut them all short little bits, even if I knew that I wanted them to be shorter. Okay, so then I also opened up my packages and I took out the two little items that I wanted to use. From one of them I chose a little birdhouse. Here there was a couple of little signs that said welcome, and I thought the little birdhouse would be better. I chose a little pink dressed fairy sitting on a little log and reading. I thought that was really cute, so I'm going to use that one. So that's what I've decided. And now on my little frame, because it goes standing up this way, I've reprinted my little message. Let me show you. That's what I reprinted. I even put some little flowers in it. Now my little frame might cut off some of that, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and open the frame because I want to prepare whatever's going to go in the frame so that I keep in mind how I want this. I'm going to put this over the message here, this little glass, because that's going to tell me, you know, what size will fit in there. Now you could use a little paper to use this as a sizing, but I like to use a little glass because that actually, I can see through it and I can see you know, where things are actually going to kind of lay. And I don't want to cut off the lettering. I'd rather cut off a little bit of the floral, so I'm actually lifting it just a little bit more to make sure the lettering. Let me go ahead and move this and see here. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Show off more of the lettering here. And then I'm just going to trace around it. Just making sure that, you know, this is all straight here according to this and here. And also down here, the same amounts. Okay. Just like that. Now I can cut that out. I'm just going to do a rough cut so I don't have a ton of paper around me. And if you're wondering what size, I printed this out to be a 2 by 3, which is the size of my frame. Unfortunately, it still uses a whole sheet of paper. And if you don't have color, do it in black and white. Now, you don't have to do this. You could always just put a little picture in there. You have a little wallet-sized picture you want to put in there. I thought about putting a picture of my grandma, but my grandmother's passed, and I really don't want to remind my mom. I mean, of course, my mom always remembers my grandmother, but I don't really want to remind her that her mom's not around for Mother's Day. You know, even for myself, I don't want to remind myself that I don't have my grandma here for Mother's Day. So, I'm not going to put a picture in there. Now, if it was a different occasion, I might go ahead and do that, but this is what I chose to do. I decided to just make a little message that says, or even if you write it yourself with your own penmanship, Feliz Dia de las Madres 2019, to fill in the little space. Happy Mother's Day 2019. Move this out of the way. I don't need this. Okay, so the next thing I want to do now is I want to make sure that I get the size of my styrofoam, the size of the opening. Now, I don't want it to go inside of the vase. This time I'm going to work differently. The last time I cut the styrofoam so that it would fit into the frame, into the vase. This time I'm just going to cut it to fit kind of laying on top of it. Kind of like a little lid. So I'm just going to trace around this so that I know what size it is. The same with this other vase here. Actually, I'm going to move this one over to the edge because I want a piece of styrofoam. And I don't know what size I want it, so since this one has a smaller mouth, I'll have more styrofoam left over. And you see that? I'll have this piece of styrofoam here left over. Okay, so now I've got these two on my trace on my styrofoam. Now I want to trace it on my poster board or cardboard or foam board, whatever you decide to use. I'm just going to go over to the very edge here. Trace that. And now this one as well, as close to the other one as I can. I want to save as much of this poster board as I can. I see some people grab a big piece of some sheet, and then they trace things and they cut it out from the center. Why? Do it on the edge and save all this for another project. Yeah, I could have done that with a paper where I printed out the photograph, but I don't know how to move it. And then I could have printed out a whole bunch of other stuff at the same time, but that was a small little sheet of paper. This is a nice piece of poster board, and you know how hard it is to just go get a piece of poster board when you're going shopping, to remember to do that. Okay, so now I'm just cutting out the shape that I need. I might put that green grid back on here because I just realized I'm working on a white countertop here, or table. Let's do it this way without the grid so that you can see the items because they're all white and clear. Okay, so now I'm just cutting out the other one, and I'm not even going to cut it out too perfect. I just need to cut it out. I said not perfect, and then I go back and, okay, no, it's not going to be perfect. Okay, there's my two pieces. Now I want to cut my styrofoam shapes out, and that's what I wanted my little craft knife for. So I'm just going to start doing this. that over. Another piece. Okay, I'm going to do the same with this one, trying to save this a big piece from here, and I will be back. Okay, so I've cut out my styrofoam pieces, and I've had this piece left over that I want to save off to the side. All the other little pieces, I threw them away. And I've got my little cardboards here that are going to get glued to the styrofoam, so let's do that. Got my hot glue gun ready here. Yep, I was making sure I did have it on. Yes. Okay. Get that on there. I was already running out of glue sticks, so I'm just putting another one on there. And we're not going to worry about all this glue because that'll actually work as a blockage also to keep those little stems from going through the styrofoam at the bottom. This is actually going to be the bottom, okay? So then we're going to turn it over, and this is what we're going to stick stems into. And this is going to go on top of our vases once we get our decorations inside of it. So that's what we want to form. Okay, so now let's do this other one. That on there. Okay, and this is going to be the bottom now where the poster board is, and that's going to go there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let these, put these off to the side and let them dry and cool off. They're a little warm, so just be careful with that. The next thing we need to decide is where we want to place items inside our little containers. So on this little chubby one, and I had already tested it, these little items fit in there perfectly fine. What I want to do is I want to hot glue this little fairy inside of here. So I want to put her right in there so we can see her inside the gazebo sitting down rather than on the outside because there might not be enough room for her. And she fits just right inside. She doesn't fit all the way in. So that's probably better that I chose this one that's sitting because the other ones that are standing I think are a little taller. So I'm just going to put it right in there. So she's sitting right in there. And then inside of my vase, I'm not going to center the little gazebo, but rather I'm going to push it to the back. This is the back of it. This is the back on what you're seeing on the side, or let me turn it over. This is the back. So I'm going to push this as far back as I can rather than putting it right in the center. Okay, so now I'm going to put some glue, and I can remove the stickers. Yeah, let's do that. Put that in the trash here. Glue on it. You can use E6000 glue if you prefer to use that. Now you can put really anything in here. If you want to make it an Easter little vase, you can put little Easter items in there. If you little eggs, little bunny, whatever will fit in your vase. Of course, like I said, you can pick a bigger vase. Make something bigger. This is sort of reminiscent of the vases that I did for Christmas. That I did like 3 of them, and then I put some little Christmas ornaments and little Christmas figurines like this, and I did 3 vases and I made a snowman out of it. I think I did one for Easter as well with little Easter ears, little bunny, little Easter ears, little Easter bunny, or little bunny ears, sorry. There we go. So that's what that's looking like inside. Now I don't want it to be too plain, so I'm going to take a little bit of this moss, and I'm actually going to throw that in there, but I kind of don't want it to fall with the little dirt side up. So I'm just going to do a tiny little bit of glue, and you could use some tweezers or something to hold it and push it in there. But I'm just going to carefully drop it in and then kind of flatten it so it glues down on inside there. Push it down while I have it right here. Now this moss does drop a lot of dirt, so I just kind of want to shake some of it off. This is broken to pieces, so let's go ahead and do one piece first. Get those glue strings gone. My goodness. Let me start over. Okay, let's get some of this glue this little piece here. You don't have to do this. You can just drop it in. I just don't want the little dirt. Or what you could do is you could just shake off all the dirt and just throw in the green parts. Maybe I should do that instead of suffering doing all this. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just break off the little green grassy bits. You could use Easter grass if you want, but I would probably like cut it up into little smaller bits. Okay? Oh, that works fine. You just make sure none of your glue strings fall in there, which they kind of almost did right now. Okay, so throwing that around there, shake it downward. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to maybe glue a few little bits in front of your little display, and then the rest of them just kind of throw them in there. Because I mean, it's not something that anybody's going to grab and shake around. And even if they do, when it settles back down, just everything will fall to the bottom. Okay, so we're just going to drop that in there. I think that's good enough. Let's see. Yeah. There we go. Just like that. That's all we're going to do to that one. Okay. Okay, this one here, I have to think it through a little bit more than this one because I do want to put this little frame, and the little frame fits in there just fine. Just lean it back towards the back. But then you see the back of it, and it's all just, you know, the back of the frame that doesn't look all too pretty. So I think I want to put some little flowers back here, but I want to make sure that it ends up fitting it. Let me see if I open up the, how does that look? Yeah, you know what? I want to do like a little arrangement coming out of it. So what I'm going to do, this one is going to be using these other peachy colored flowers right here. And it's got these little longer stems. I think it would be cute if it was coming out from the back of it, and it would be inside of the, let me remove some of these leaves, and then cut this just to the length here. What I'm going to do here, this is why I wanted to save a piece of the styrofoam. Let me push these out of the way. Let me bring the camera down a little bit closer to this. Okay, the reason that I wanted to save the styrofoam was to put possibly behind the little frame and then put some little flowers there. So that's what I'm going to do with this. So I'm just going to cut like a little rectangle and see if that will work. Just going to make it kind of neat and put it back here. But I think I'm going to remove this little hinged part of the frame, and then I don't want it to pop open should it get shaken around. So I'm just going to glue the little backing down on the frame because it's only got two little things here holding it. And just removing that little backing, it kind of moved around on me, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so now that we got that there, I'm going to put a little piece of styrofoam, and I'm going to put it closer to the bottom because this part here on the top was closer to the edge here. Yeah, this is the top. And there was less space. So closer to the bottom here, like that. I'm going to let that dry, of course, but let's see if that fits a little bit better. I mean, if that fits okay, not better, but okay. Yes, there's room there. I can lean it forward a little bit more. And there's room there for some flowers to pop out there. Or actually, there's one stem here. So now that I know that there's room for that, I'm actually going to cut this now even shorter because I can stick it right in here on the top. Okay, so now there's a little shorter. I can put a little glue on it and slide it in so that it doesn't, let me move that out of the way. Yeah, making sure that the little flowers are going to pop up through the front. In case it gets shook around for whatever reason. I'm going to look at it from the front. and adjust anything. So what I'm going to do, because these leaves, I want you to look at it, because the leaves kind of just forward up here, and you know, right here you can see the back of the leaf. I'm going to actually take this and glue it like that behind the frame to open up these leaves, and then maybe a little glue here on the top edge here just to hold them in place so they don't come in front of the, you know, we don't see the back of the leaf. Okay, so just a little glue there to hold that. A little bit of glue on the edge here to hold the other leaf so it stays like that. Okay, that'll keep it from moving around. I think that looks pretty. Okay, I moved my leaf, sorry. Put that back. And there's a part here where the leaf keeps folding on me. In the back here, this leaf. I'm going to put a little glue on it. Stick it behind this one little stem so it keeps it in place. Keeps it open. And I'm looking at this little flower, and it keeps wanting to go back as well. I'm just removing some of the little glue strings. This little flower here keeps going back that way, and I can't really enjoy how pretty it is. So I'm going to cut it off, and I'm going to re-glue it, but on the edge here so that it's resting on the edge of the little frame. So rather than being like that, it'll be like this. So I'm going to put some glue there, and then rest it, the petals, and glue them down so that you see it like that. Okay, now this is going to be the back now, and you're going to see it through there, so we want to cover that up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the stem on that flower because it's sticking out of it. And I have taken these two leaves, so we're going to separate them. And I'm actually going to take some of this ivy. This is on clearance because a lot of pieces are missing. So I'm actually going to take some of these little ivy leaves also. And I think in front of it here, I'm going to put a couple of them. So I'm just going to completely cut them off. Just one maybe. One right there. And then another one back behind the flower on one of the leaves, just so that we introduce that ivy inside of our little vase as well. Okay, so now we want to cover the styrofoam back here, and we can also use some of that same green moss to cover that. And should I get another flower maybe in the back to show from the back? I think I'm just going to put a little bit of moss and take the little dirt part of it off. I don't need that, brown bits. Just some of the green. And the back, put a little bit of glue. And use these bits to cover most of the styrofoam. We don't have to do the bottom, but we're going to do the little sides here. I'm going to do the top here as well, just so we don't see that in the back. Okay. And then I'm going to take one of these leaves, glue it onto the styrofoam here where I can see it. Well, here, let me put the glue on the styrofoam. There. And just kind of put it at an angle so it not only does it cover this back part, but kind of the sides here too. And in order to make sure you does cover, put a little glue on the frame here. Get that leaf edge to rest on there. That covers up that little part. I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm just pushing this moss into some of that glue that I put down for the leaf. Okay, so I'm going to do the same over here with another leaf. So down here on the frame. Get that in there as well. That covers that up really nice. And then we can take some of these little ivy leaves as well. Let me cut them completely off of there and just put a little bit of glue on them. I got myself another craft light to put in here. My husband and I will probably install it next weekend. There we go. So I'll have a little bit more light in here. Just, you know, to cover the styrofoam, okay? Now I didn't have to put styrofoam. I could have just glued the stem piece onto the back of the frame and done the same thing that I'm doing here and then covered the stem with other leaves. But it's nice to have that little bit of styrofoam to stick things into. I'm just going to put some more little leaves coming out so it doesn't look so plain. Here we go. Okay, so I'll let that dry very well. And now, my vase, I'm going to put, obviously I'm going to glue the bottom of the frame down into it, and I'm also going to drop some more of that little green grass from the moss inside of there. So I'm going to break up some more, a few more pieces here, some more just the green part and leave the dirt out. So that's what I'm going to do next. So while I'm waiting for this to completely dry, I put it right here in front of my fan actually. I'm going to do this and I will be back. Okay, so I've already separated a little bit of grass here. I don't know if this is going to be enough, but I think it's enough for now. I can always cut up some more in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and glue this little frame inside of here so that we can go ahead and seal both our frames and then go ahead and create a little floral arrangement over them. Get some more glue here ready. Okay, let's put some glue. First I want to make sure I make sure there's no glue strings anywhere. There we go, get that. I don't know why I can't get this glue stick in there. Let's do it this way. How's that? All right. Now, carefully push it in there. That looks good. There's the little flower. As you can see, it comes off the top, but we're going to trim that off. And look at that. Okay. So I'm going to trim this little stem bit. Use my scissors. A little bit here. Trying to make sure my fingers aren't going to be in the way because I have done this before and cut my finger. Okay, there we go. I've trimmed it so it doesn't stick out the top. Actually, these little bits can actually be thrown on the bottom, but I'm not going to do that. Let me go ahead and throw these little grassy bits inside front here. Make sure they fall in all the way down. I'll use my scissors to push them because I don't want them like standing up. So I think I'm going to break this one up a little bit more. There we go. I don't want it like standing and covering my little picture, my little words there. That's good. There we go. Get in the front there if you want. There we go. Just enough to cover up the bottom. Really, that's all we really want. This one doesn't want to slide down. Come on, honey, get down there. All right, now pushing it down with my scissors. There we go. There, that looks good. I think that's enough. You can see that. Turn it around so you can see the bottom there in the back. Okay, that's enough. I think that looks really nice. Again, you would put whatever you want in your little jar. If you want to actually put those actual keepsakes, maybe some little watch or you know, a little watch head or a little chain or a little necklace or something that, you know, is a little kind of a keepsake that maybe somebody had. You can put them in there. Okay. A little memoriam for someone if you want to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to seal them, and so I'm going to glue these at the top here of each of my frames. Did I say frames? I meant vases. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. Get my little fan facing some other way. I don't want this to dry until I'm done putting glue all the way around. Now, if you're scared some of this glue will drip in, I'm going to recommend then you use an E6000 or maybe a super glue that will dry a little slower, so then you can do this process a little slower and be careful so that it doesn't drip in, you know. But you could also just do half of it and just glue the back part really well before you put the front. What I'm doing is I'm reaching in and pulling out any little these glue webs. Okay, so let's do that, or I just do kind of like half, and I'm just going to make sure that this is all over my vase, yes, and then I'm going to carefully just do the front part. There we go. Okay, so I mentioned the ribbon scrap, so I'm going to go ahead and do this one right now, and then I'll do this one off camera. And I have these ribbons, so whatever I'm doing to this one, I'm going to do to this larger one. Okay, I just want to take a little more time on this one because this is actually going to be an actual gift. Okay, this one I'm probably just going to keep for myself, so I'm going to do this right here for you. And this ribbon will go around it like so, okay? So I'm going to start at the back of it and put a little drop of glue back here. Put a glue there. Put the end of the ribbon right on it, and making sure that the ribbon is right on the edge of the top of your styrofoam, or just a little bit lower, so that it's at least covering the bottom or going just a little bit beyond it. So you don't want the top edge of the styrofoam, don't worry about it, because we're going to put flowers in there and that can get covered by that, and even some of the greenery that might come down. So just make sure that the ribbon is in a position where it's covering this very edge where they both meet and a little bit beyond. Okay. And right when you get to the end, where it's about to meet, before you cut it, and then you realize, oh, I cut it too short, or I cut it too long, just go ahead and glue all the way till they meet, and a little bit of glue on top of the other end of the ribbon. So this other ribbon is overlapping it. Okay? It overlaps it. Okay, now I can go ahead and trim down, or wait till it dries and then trim it. And then I can trim down as close as I can. And then that's it. I just press down. If you need a little more glue to make sure those little edges of ribbon are down, just put a little drop. There we go, just like that. There we go, that's all. Now a little string of ribbon. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it because the more I try to touch it, the worse it gets. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do, is I want to make sure that this bottom edge here is being covered by the ribbon. So make sure your ribbon is wide enough to cover all that, okay? Now, if it's not quite the width of all that, make sure you go down a little bit, because you want to just make sure this gets covered. Don't worry about this very top edge of the styrofoam. So this is what it looks like all the way around. Okay, so now we can make a little arrangement, but I'm going to go ahead and do this other one. This piece of ribbon just barely meets, but I do have a little bit more of this. But instead of cutting another piece that does go all the way around, I'm just going to cut a little patch piece, because I really don't want to, because I cut this off thinking I cut enough, okay, and I didn't. Once I have it around here, it doesn't go all the way around. But I don't want to have to cut another piece that does go around, because then this little scrap is kind of like useless, kind of, not really, but it could be kind of useless. So instead of cutting another one that does fit, I'm just going to cut another little scrappy bit, maybe 2-3 inches, and cover the part that it won't cover all the way around. Okay. Okay, so I'm back, and I've gone ahead and I've put the styrofoam on this taller vase and then wrapped it with a ribbon. And I actually just needed a tiny little piece, so that's all I cut. It was like an inch size piece to cover my little gap, so I didn't waste any ribbon. And then I went ahead and I worked on this one. I thought I'd go ahead and have this already done so that you get an idea of what's happening over here. And there you can see the little gazebo with a little fairy inside. It's a little keepsake here for someone for Mother's Day or birthday or for any occasion. Make it for a baby shower maybe, and put some little baby items in there, or to take to the hospital when the baby's born. A little pacifier, or maybe a little rattle, or just some little cute little miniature blocks or something that you can put inside. If you have a bigger vase, maybe you can put a little stuffed animal inside, or maybe something with a baby's name. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put this one to the side so we can work on this one now that you see what it's going to look like. Let me take my greenery over to this side. Make it easier to reach over for it so that you can see this one here. Okay, I'm going to take this one that has this long bit on it, just like the one that was inside. So I'm going to mimic that and put it right at the top here, right in the center. I'm basically forming a centerpiece. Now my stems are going to be cut really short because, again, my styrofoam is not very thick, and it's obviously not going to go through because we did put that poster board. Now if you push hard enough, you might be able to tear right into it. But like if you use like a foam board, then that won't happen, or even a cardboard. So this can either go right in the center. I'm going to push it back a bit, not really centered. This can be a centerpiece, or it could be something where it can be placed on maybe by the bedside, or maybe on a little shelf somewhere, a little table. Maybe there's a wall behind it. So you can either form this so it's a centerpiece. Like this one is a centerpiece. It's the same all the way around. You know what, guys? I didn't glue down my little birdhouse, and it just fell over. So I need to go in there and actually put it back together. So I'll do that. Okay. So anyway, it can either be like this is a centerpiece, or just as an arrangement. So I'm going to make this as an arrangement where this is going to be the back, and then all my other flowers will be forward. So I'm going to put this one right in the middle here in the front. Again, I don't need a very long stem, just something short. And you don't want to make these arrangements too tall. Now if you have lots of greenery and such to cover the styrofoam, then go for it. Otherwise, just make it something small. Not too elaborate, so that when if you do give it as a gift, the person receiving it, doesn't have to worry about it being so big and where are they going to put it. So just, keep in mind that, unless you've heard them say, oh, I want something big for this table here or whatever, then you do that. But I think keep in mind that where they could possibly put it. So you don't want to maybe give grandma, who maybe has a lot of things collected, sometimes they like to have a little more items here and there than we do. And if you give them a huge arrangement, it might not fit anywhere. Might end up, in the middle of her dining room table, taking up a lot of space. So keep in mind, she might have something small. I'm going to put 2 more of these kind of facing the back. Put the hydrangeas on each side. Oh, I can smell brisket. Now on Sundays, what I've been doing is I've sort of been teaching my husband how to cook because he knows how to make a few things here and there, but he doesn't know how to make like more elaborate things, and I'm just kind of helping him because you never know, he might have to do the cooking instead of me, but he seems to really enjoy it, even though he doesn't really know how. He knows what he likes. He knows his flavor. He knows what flavors he likes. So he likes to be creative. So I'm just there to just telling him, like, yeah, that would be great. Do it. Put that in that. Put that in there. But I was telling him, gee, we could be doing a food video out of this, and I could be saving myself some time having to make another video if I just recorded when you're doing it. He's like, oh, I don't want to be in the videos. But I said, well, you know, I could just do your hands. And it would just be me talking about, you know, what we're doing. He's like, yeah, that sounds okay. So I think the next time, but we had already started on it. So I think the next time I'll go ahead, excuse me, and we'll go ahead and do that. I'm just going to put a couple of these little flowers like this that have quite a bit on them, sticking it out on each side, and then I'm just going to put some ivy greenery on it. But anyway, we put the brisket in the oven. I've been cooking it for a while. It's just a small little piece, but it's been over a couple of hours and I can smell it. It smells so good. Okay, this one's missing a little bit of a leaf here, so I'm going to use one that I pulled off another one that was really there. Fill in that little bald spot. Sometimes you have to put a little bit of glue to make sure it doesn't pop off, because sometimes they do. Okay, so I'm going to put some greenery coming down on the sides. Little vine, just a little bit. And see, there's that piece that just fell off. I actually don't need it because this big leaf covers that little bald spot. Okay, so I'm just having this little greenery come off the side. I folded it downward a little bit, and I'm going to put another one on the other side. Let's see, we find a longer piece that's nice and full. Now let's do this one. Okay. Trim a little bit. There we go. Have this one come down a bit more off the side and the bottom, and I'm just going to put some little bits just to fill in here, just so I don't see the styrofoam. And I've got these little bits here that I'm going to use for that. So I'm going to turn it around to look at the front. Sure enough, right here I can see styrofoam. So slide that in there, and I'm kind of sliding them and kind of slanted rather than straight down and then folding them. This little leaf came off. Let's put some glue on it. Put it back in its little thing there. Okay. That fills in this little spot right here. I'm going to look for some right in here and some right in here. Here's another piece I can use. You just want to turn your arrangement around several times. Look at it from every angle. Trim off that bit. And then move your leaves so that you're covering where you can see in. So you look in there like that. You don't see the styrofoam. Same over here, but I have a little spot right here where it just feels a little bare. Let me see if I have another one of those bits. So here's one. Put that one right in there. And I think that fills up right there really nice without crowding it over. So then that's it. I don't need to use the rest of this. I'm going to save my greenery for another project. I do want to put a little bow on it, on this one, because this is going to be a gift for my mom. So I'm just going to make a really simple bow. I'm not even going to make anything elaborate because I don't want it to be too much because it's a small arrangement. So I'm just going to do 3 little loops and then take some wire and just twist it. Let me cut off here. Twist it and put the other end as well. Get this so that it doesn't. I was going to put a little bow on this one, and I have this other ribbon, but I feel like it's a little too wide, a little too much for it, and it might just, you know, take away from what's inside of it. Okay, so I'm going to take this. Let me see where I could put it. I tend to go over to the, you know, the left phase of things to put a bow, and since I have this long piece here, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So these wires that I have here, the ends, I'm going to tie that around a stem in here. Just in here in this one little hydrangea stem. Just going to wrap it around it. Push the little ends into the arrangement so they're not sticking out. Just in case my mom wants to reach in there and remove the bow. Because some people like bows, some people don't. My mom probably just leave it in there. But, you know, give them the option to remove the bow. Because I feel like bows are nice for, like, you know, little gifts, special occasions, things like that. But then for just everyday arrangements, maybe not. There we go, just a little bow there. So it signifies that this is a gift. Okay, I'm going to fix this little arrangement. Get the little birdhouse in there fixed nicely so it's standing up. And I shall be back. Alright everyone, I have finished my 2 arrangements. These are little keepsakes or mementos. Little floral arrangements in a clear vase. There we go. I'm really liking this one. I like them both, of course. But this one's going to be a gift for my mom for Mother's Day. And I'll probably just give it to her early. Because she'll probably see this video. And she's actually already left a comment. So, yeah, I know that she's watching. So she's going to see this. So here you go, Mommy. Es para usted. Feliz Dia de las Madres. Okay everyone, I hope that you enjoyed watching my little tutorial on this little keepsake and that you will be making this yourself. Like I said, it's for any occasion. Mother's Day is coming up. I know that it's a little late for more Easter stuff. I didn't get around to it. I was busy with the baby shower. And, well, you know, time has gone by. But I do have some videos from last year, so I hope that you will enjoy them. I want to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up. And leave a nice comment down below. Share on your social medias. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And hit that little notification bell so that you will be notified. My videos are every Tuesday and Friday. And that's it, everyone. Enjoy.